Welcome to the Continuous Revenue Marketer podcast, where the most influential marketers in the world are sharing their insights and lessons on the critical topic their chief executives must address daily: how to deliver continuous, profitable revenues for their organization through new customer growth and lifetime value optimization. And most importantly, what strategies, tactics, and methodologies are they employing to achieve these goals with a high ROI on their marketing spend? Hi, I'm Russell Kern, CEO and founder of Kern, an Omnicom agency, and I'm joined with my co-host and producer, Elliot Dennis.
Russell, we've had a very interesting week with some very interesting training on neuromarketing. I know you're very excited to share that with our audience today. And the last few episodes, we've talked a lot about the kind of sausage making behind personalization, how relevancy is so important to that. But I thought today would be a great time for us to talk about, what makes relevancy so important? Why is it so important? What defines it? And everything that goes into our psychological behaviors to really get us to open up and interact with the brand.
So, Elliot, I thank you. And I have to tell our listeners, this topic is one of my deep personal passions. I've been a student of economic behavior theory and of the neurosciences for at least 10 years. And this week, we have our beginning of a really intensive training of the agency leadership on neuromarketing from a PhD in neuroscience. His name is Christoph Morin. He wrote the book Neuromarketing. And what's so fantastic in this training, and what I want to talk about, what's really resonated after our just beginnings of a training, is that it speaks to what marketers are really seeking to achieve. We are there to persuade, and especially Kern and our Kern clients, our work is designed to create behavior, to create action. And then when you put those pieces together and you say, well, we're all talking about personalized marketing. The industry is there. And we know that a business needs to generate revenues continuously by acquiring new clients. So that's an action that needs to happen. And by getting current clients to buy again, that's another action and behavior we're looking. You then beg the question of, well, how do you do that? And so now what we have is, we have an ability to deliver personalized messages with high relevancy. And the issue for me is, do you know what relevancy is and why why relevancy is important? And more importantly, how do you deliver that relevancy that captures the most amount of attention and consideration and trust to create persuasion, which actually leads to the behavior you're seeking to do? And that is what's exciting and what we're going to talk about a little bit deeper into this episode. And so, yeah, we've got all these tools that will allow us to do it, but let's talk about what it means. So high performance relevancy and high performance communication from the neurosciences and the 20 years of research is that communication which is awakening the mind to pay attention. And the awakening of the mind happens by speaking to our reptilian brain. So just a little bit about neuromarketing, maybe we'll do another session, is we have two systems in our brain. We have our reptilian called System 1, 450 million year old neuro brain. And then we have our System 2, which is our new brain, our rational brain. Some people call it the subconscious and the conscious brains. And we know that these brains operate in very different manners. The neuro brain, which kept us alive and helped us through our evolutionary process, is a very fast brain. It's designed for survival. It's designed to see. It has a direct connection from the visual rods all the way through the cortex down to the neurocenter. It processes it fast. It processes information for survival, and it filters out anything that's not relevant to it. And then we have what we would consider the slower brain, the rational brain, the one that allows us to do computation and evaluation and mathematics and all those other things. And we as marketers go, well, if we just sell you the benefit, if we just present all the product benefits, and we present you a lot of product benefit, and we layer on all those benefits, you're going to buy. What we've learned in our training is that's wrong. That is absolutely wrong. And billions of dollars are spent by marketers and by under the leadership of chief marketers that is ineffective. And it's like, oh my God, is that true? And why is it ineffective? Is because it is not using the proven scientific methods that awaken the mind to a message, that get them to let down their skepticism and allow them to go on the journey of, well, what can this do for me? Gee, I trust you. Okay, I'll take action. So now, what's interesting also about in our training is that's not to say marketing doesn't work. You know, you can have a message and just by sheer volume of repetition, pound it into the brain. We know frequency matters. But what we learned in our training this week, and what I've always known as a student of the craft, and I will be a student of the craft for the rest of my career, is that we have to speak to the reptilian brain first, because it decides whether we're going to make an action or not. The simplest example of that, which I'm sure retailers know, is that when you walk into a grocery store and you go to say, I'm going to pick up going to get some milk, and then I'm walking down the aisle, I see a sale. It's cereal on sale, 3 boxes for $1 in red, for sale, 3 for $1. And the next thing I know is those boxes of cereal, which I never intended to get, are in my shopping cart. You say to yourself, how the hell did that happen? And the way it happened is that the subconscious mind saw the sign that said 3 for $1 in high contrast letters, maybe red on yellow. And it released hormones, because the brain is an organ that has uncontrollable release of pleasure hormones and fear hormones, but oxytocin as the pleasure hormone. And all of a sudden my mind is saying is, oh, that's going to feel so good. And boom, 3 boxes of cereal into my cart. So what we know is when speaking to the reptilian brain to get it to pay attention, there are 6 principles that I know our creative team is reevaluating. And we're going to create a neuromarketing checklist for all of our work, for ourselves and for our clients, to make sure that we're giving ourselves the highest opportunity to have a message awaken, be considered, and then acted upon. So what is that neuromind? Well, one of the first things I want to just emphasize and that we learned, which just so shocking, is that the mind is designed to see visual first. It processes visual, and then copy is adjunctive, supportive. And I was trained for all my years that copy is so important. Copy matters and headlines matter. Well, the science points to the fact that given the direct connectivity between the rods and cones of the eye and the deep cortex of the brain, your visual matters. Now, not any visual. It's the visual that communicates danger, pain, fear, worry, because in our deepest brain and in deepest pieces of our mind, we're worried about our survival. And I know marketers hate that. Survival, fear. No, we want to talk about joy and delight. We can get there, but to resonate and awaken and for people to pay attention, we have to touch the deep nerve. Now, some people call that, we've got insight against our customers. Yeah. The question is, what type of insight? Do you really understand the importance of their fear and pain and bringing that forward in a visual method, because our eye can understand things in something, I think the area is about 3 milliseconds, incredibly fast. The second piece is that we are self-centered individuals. I remember I used to teach, what's in it for me versus we. we do this, we do that. Nobody cares about what we do. Nobody cares about what you do until they understand what you are going to do for them. And so we as human beings, as part of survival, care about you. And thus, as direct response marketers, we were always taught the value of you and you and yours and you. And now it makes perfect sense, because if I don't use you in my copy, in my headlines, in my web pages, and I'm using we, I don't get the attention necessary, because I don't care about we or somebody else. I just care about me. The other thing is the importance of contrast. Contrast between problem to solution, which is one of the most classic marketing methods ever. Demonstration of proof in paper towels about how the water stays. That's contrast. Red over hot yellow, white over dark black. Our eyes are designed to see contrast, because when things are of neutralness, we are designed to not pay attention. We're designed to see what's on the savannah that's going to jump out on me. It's why the old school rule of direct response says, make your call to action red. And then a CMO said, oh, no, that's not part of my brand colors. I can't have it red. Yeah, you do need contrast, because when you don't have contrast, the eye will not see it, and thus you will not get action. And we saw incredible examples of where now we have the ability to send a piece of communication into a machine, and the machine can predict the actual eye tracking and heat mapping, versus I have to put on a pair of glasses on an individual to make sure your work is actually paying attention, and that you can settle the battle between design and design. It's got to look good. And hey, I need the eye to see this message to drive action. That was incredibly fascinating among those tools. I think then the three other aspects which marketers have always known is, I need to touch on emotion. And I know that we as marketers love emotion. We love that, to talk about joy and connectivity. But we saw examples of where the emotion of separation of family was so powerful as the opening 3 to 5 seconds. You go, oh, I would have never thought that emotion would work. And you know what it was for? A bathroom cleaner. Oh, it's incredibly powerful. And then, of course, memorability, which is getting to a claim that you are getting to a claim and a promise, or a claim and a gain that is so clear and so simple that you repeat consistently, that the audience now can eventually remember, and it seeps through the reptilian brain into the conscious brain to drive consideration. And so I think what was so fascinating is the formula was so simple. It's pains times the claims of what makes you unique and better, and the gains of your output, and how you deliver that message using the proven principles that the reptilian brain needs before the new brain will pay attention to it. And so so when you bring that all the way around, what is relevancy? Relevancy is that ability to know how to craft message that resonates deep in the heart of the audience, so that they act upon it. And now we have all sorts of technologies that allow for multiple dynamic assembly, and we have all tools to give us insight. But I think it's very easy for the communications team, the human creativity teams, to forget these scientifically proven methods that can make the work better, quicker, and faster. And thus, while we can learn and measure and optimize, it's so much better to start with what is going to touch the mind, the reptilian mind, awaken them, and then get them to consider because of belief, let down their skepticism, and ultimately feel like, I've got to take action now because I want those benefits. So, that was, I just love this topic, and that was a really great, I thought, important topic to cover here today.
Yeah, great job, Russ. I think you did a great job of synthesizing a simple yet complex topic. So we do have a lot more to come on that over future episodes, as well as a lot of writing around that. So stay tuned to Current Agency /insights for more in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and I would say is, we are a neuromarketing agency who was able to offer growth, revenue generation, customer acquisition, customer win back, customer loyalty consistently at speed and scale, because not only do we have the infrastructure of technology, but we have the human creativity of knowing how the mind works. I always love to say is that marketers are psychologists that are there to manipulate consumers without getting caught. And I know people hate the word of manipulation. But what we're really doing is making the investments for our clients highly effective by not wasting their time or money and using the scientific, highly measured over 20 years of what is the most persuasive communication mechanisms. And in the end, that is the job of creativity, to be persuasive, to create awareness, to create consideration, to create behavior change, to create action, to create purchase, to create advocacy. And I think that that's something that we're very passionate about. So on behalf of my friend, producer, co-host, Elliot, I'm Russell Kern, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
The Continuous Revenue Marketer has been brought to you by Kern, an Omnicom precision marketing agency that helps Fortune 500 companies increase revenue from customer acquisition to loyalty through personalization at speed and scale. For more information, please visit kernagency.com.